What's up, guys? Chimp here with another very quick market update. It's pretty late here, actually, so gonna try to keep this one a little bit quick, but want to record one because the market's moved quite a bit in the last 24 hours, and I think there's a lot of potential warning signs here. And so let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. I'll keep some of the bullish case as well here. This is in no ways going to be comprehensive, just because I sort of put together my thoughts here and I'm presenting them, but when I have a bit more time, maybe tomorrow, I'll sort of maybe flesh out a little bit more of both cases, and obviously we'll have 24 hours more of price action to see whether ultimately my call is right or not. So first of all, I'm just going to start with Bitcoin. So we've repumped here back to 117, 118. I'm not that surprised. Again, bulls have money, right? Like when you have such a strong move for so long, bulls are not going to fold on the first leg down. And so now that we've come down a bit, like the fact that people ended up coming in and buying, not a surprise whatsoever. The question to me is like, how is Bitcoin behaving, and what is like the leverage situation in the market look like? And is there a level of fragility there that I think gives us asymmetric risks to the downside? And so let's jump to the leverage picture actually first. So, I mentioned this. I said if global open interest gets back above 100 billion, start getting pretty worried. Gets around 100 billion, I start getting pretty worried. Again, it's up from 88 back to 100. So to me, this is like flashing like a warning sign. And I think one thing that's important to note here with this global open interest is the last two times we were at or above 100 billion. Let's see if I can just find that 100 billion number. Bitcoin basically, right? Like maybe there's a blip here, but like you can go and look at the price action, but Bitcoin basically was trading maybe about it was trading higher, right? And so to me, like the picture this is painting to me is that a lot of people are re-leveraging all like the market went up only, people got washed. Now people are regaining that confidence, or I should say traders are regaining that confidence to put leverage back on. And so I'm kind of viewing this 100 billion as like a danger zone number. Now, obviously, like people can keep leveraging and it can go up more, but at some point the system sort of hits capacity. And my gut feeling is that over 100 is like danger zone, and people aren't really accounting for that. And yeah, I mean, I expect bulls to, the first dip was bought pretty aggressively. We'll see what happens if it dips again. I mean, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit too and just show the open interest sort of picture from the past. Unfortunately, I can't pull up what it looked like, over here, but suffice it to say that open interest basically like there's a similar-ish pattern, right? Now, again, global open interest. Um, and by the way, you could like go back in the past and look as well, right? Like again, the level changes based on where the market's at, but like, you could have said like 50 billion or so was sort of that level last March, and we chopped around, right? Like we had a big pullback, maybe about 20%, very similar actually to what happened to us this time, right? And then you kind of reclaimed it, and you had another pullback, and then you reclaimed it, and then the open interest actually flushed. And when you looked at that picture, when the open interest actually flushed, like you basically had like once the open interest like what would make me bullish if I saw open interest dump 30 or 40%, and price wipe out 20 to 30%, then I'd say okay, like we actually probably are gonna bottom. And again, like what I like to look at, and I've been thinking about this. I'll probably release something that's more educational and looks at historic examples and stuff. But in this case, like global open interest, this is just last year, wiped to a level that it was when Bitcoin was significantly lower, right? So it shows you like prices are higher, but actually leverage is quite low, and that was a strong signal. And again, like that 50 billion number, we hit it again. That was sort of like another resistance point, and we ended up dumping out again, right? And so you kind of ping ponged within this broader range. Now, I don't think it's going to play out like quite like that, but it's possible. my point being, like, what would be a bullish sign to see is if this thing wiped out, let's say to 103, and global open interest wiped out to like 50 or something. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be like, okay, I have to reevaluate everything. That being said, again, like, short of at this 100 billion number, I think it's a reason to be cautious. Stocks have been up only, so the ETFs have started inflowing a bit. Again, nothing like the numbers we saw in the past, where it was like 800 million a day, 1.2 billion a day. But hey, 400 million in a day and 277 million in a day is something. That being said, let's look at stocks, right? Like, stocks have been up only, and so again, the same sort of risk I think remains here, which is there's a level of fragility, and who knows what happens, right? Like, clearly, some of it is Trump and this confidence cycle. Some of it's just like passive flows and underlying market structure. So do stocks go up 5% or down 5% in the next 3 months? I have no idea. But my guess is if stocks were to go up 5%, Bitcoin doesn't go up. Like, the beta to the upside is significantly lower than the beta to the downside. And that sort of like goes back to that fragility point. And again, by the way, like, to the global open interest, like, all these random alts have ran. And so what's ran is actually not surprising at all. I've been mentioning in these videos, like, I would not short ETH. ETH has been the strongest one, right? Like, you don't want to really bet against. It's going to be hard to time a top. At some point, ETH will top, but it's, to me, like, going to be super hard to time. Whereas something like a Solana, you basically have like so many parasites in that ecosystem. I would be very surprised if Solana can even make it remotely close to 300. And you can see it with the Sol ecosystem, right? Like, Bonk's dying, like Pump got auto smashed. All these other memes are sort of just bleeding out, like they're not really that strong. But yeah, so that being said, I just wanted to show a couple other things here. Again, I'm a bit all over the place, but I'll release a bit more of an organized video tomorrow. First one is the liquidation heat maps on Hyperliquid. Again, why do I look at these? I think Hyperliquid is more retail than anywhere else, and so I think that these are probably more relevant than, in terms of what retail is doing, than, like, I don't know, looking at CME or whatever. So again, like, you can see in the liquidations, and by the way, like, we took out all those uber, like, high leverage apes. Now you still have some ETH positions that are like huntable. You know, one at 5,000, one at like 5,400, another one at around 6,000. It's possible we go and get those guys, right? I don't know if these are just market makers or whatever. But again, like, in terms of like the distribution, when you look like close to the price, hard to see here, but like, there's not that many shorts to liquidate up to, like, the first, like, and like, in terms of like density of shorts, right? I'm not talking about size, I'm just talking about density in terms of like number of traders. There's not that many, but like, in terms of density here, you actually have quite a few longs, like all the way back down to like mid 3,000s. So again, like, you're seeing this sort of degenerate behavior. And I can pick another asset. I think Bitcoin's a little bit less degenerate, actually. But again, like, with Bitcoin, like, yeah, you have a big lick around 123, but you have a ton of these positions that can get liquidated, like, on the way down, all the way down to like 100, and even some in the mid 80s. So again, like, longs are getting degenerate. People are getting, like, used to buying the dip. I'm leaning very bearish here, to be honest. Like, I think upside is so limited. I think, like, even if Bitcoin goes to, like, this is what I anticipate. Like, I think there's a chance Bitcoin pushes to 125 or 130, but if it does, you'll see global open interest, like, skyrocket even more. And I think it's unlikely because this thing is like it's very plausible that global open interest is sort of hitting this, like, capacity level. Okay, I want to show two other things here. One is this trader I'm just keeping an eye on. I'm just showing you guys things that I think might be interesting. This guy's, like, short everything. Does he win or does he not win? I don't know. The biggest thing in my sort of, like, eyes that I was watching was this Farcoin short. Like, he's short, what, 2% of the supply? And his lick is around 1.4. So I've seen another guy who was short, I want to say 1% of the supply, and he moved the price up a decent amount when he got liquidated. I don't know if this guy gets ultimately liquidated or not, but it's just a trader I'm keeping an eye on. can look at his lifetime P&L. Like, he was up as much as 5 million, and now he's sort of given a lot of that back. But does he win? Does he not? I don't know. Just someone I'm keeping an eye on.